and it is Aliyah Boston talking about her favorite teammates in the WNBA. And if we're being real, I would assume the teammate who gets 3 to 4 assists per game to her is probably her favorite teammate. The teammate that, you know, keeps giving her the ball wide open 4 feet from the basket.
Here's what just went down with Aliyah Boston. She dropped the truth about her favorite WNBA teammates, and certain fan bases are absolutely losing it. When asked directly, she didn't hesitate for even a second. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, no sugarcoating, no politician answers, just raw honesty about who she genuinely loves sharing the court with. The internet went completely wild, because everyone who's been pushing this fake drama between Boston and Clark just watched their whole story crumble.
I'm also going with 2. Can you guess who they are?
No.
Caitlin and Kelsey. I love those girls right there.
I knew that. I knew that.
You could have, I feel like you could have guessed that.
I knew that, but I knew that.
I feel like you could have,
I don't know why I was thinking college too.
Oh, I was just thinking.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
But
you're a
yeah,
big girl now.
Caitlin, yeah, I am. I'm grown. I'm grown up. Caitlin and Kelsey, those are my girls. Like, I love those two so freaking much, and I love playing with them. It's crazy. So those are my 2.
So picture this scene during the interview. The host throws out the question about her favorite teammates, trying to get her to guess. Boston fires back instantly with Caitlin and Kelsey, telling everyone she loves those girls and can't get enough of playing alongside them. The host is nodding because honestly, anyone paying attention could see this coming. But Boston keeps rolling, making it crystal clear that she's moved past trying to please everyone. She's grown up now, and these two are her people. The basketball makes total sense here. Clark is basically Boston's personal assist machine, feeding her 3 to 4 perfect passes every single game. When someone's consistently setting you up for easy buckets right near the rim, that relationship gets tight real fast. This isn't some shocking revelation, it's just basketball reality.
Things when it comes to Aliyah Boston, it's like people have tried to put Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, you know, pit them against each other. But at the end of the day, I think when people were doing that in like...
What makes Boston's response so refreshing is how real it sounds. No media training nonsense. No careful word choices to avoid stepping on toes. She's just being completely genuine about her connections and what matters to her right now. That kind of authenticity, it's different when most players stick to safe, scripted responses that say absolutely nothing. Now sure, she could have mentioned Erica Wheeler from her rookie season. Wheeler was constantly finding Boston and making sure she got her opportunities to shine. If Wheeler had made the list, that would have made sense too. But that's not where Boston's head is at. She's locked in on Clark and Mitchell, the teammates she's building something special with in the present moment. The interviewer brought up college teammates, which opens up this whole other conversation. Boston's lost favorite was probably Brea Beal, who she even got to play with professionally for a while. But Boston shut that door quick, emphasizing that she's grown up and moved forward. The college chapter is behind her now. She's a professional focused on professional relationships that actually impact her current success. This is exactly where South Carolina fans start getting heated. They want Boston still waving the program flag, still putting those college bonds first, still acting like her university days defined everything about her. But Boston has evolved way beyond that mindset. She's operating as a pro with pro priorities and pro relationships that matter more for where she's trying to go.
What made you take Caitlin Clark's drink?
You just never, like, you know, that's just who I am. Like, I'm like, okay, you know what? You're going to be on camera. Let me just slide this out the view so we don't have to worry about it. No one has to see it. And obviously, the way I'm looking in the camera, I thought that, like, no one could see me. I was like, oh, no one can even see what's happening here, but I was wrong.
You look really guilty in this video. Caitlin looks like she's having a great time.
And I'm just like,
Courtney Williams,
me, I'm just going to take this from you.
Just in her element. And Aliyah looks like the kid in class that raised their hand and told the teacher that they didn't collect the homework. That's what you look like. That's what you look like in that picture.
I did just have to take it. And I was like holding.
The people trying to create fake beef between Boston and Clark just got completely destroyed. For months, this manufactured storyline has been floating around about how these two don't click, how their styles clash, how there's some underlying tension brewing. Boston just took that entire narrative and smashed it to pieces by openly calling Clark one of her 2 favorite teammates in the whole league.
The good news is you get the #1 pick.
Yes.
And that obviously becomes Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
What are like she joins the team. What are some of your early impressions of her?
I thought she was super nice. I think it's always weird when you're like used to competing against someone.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot, we were like doing something. We had something. I was like, Caitlin, I just want to say, I'm like really upset that you like did what you did in that Final Four game.
Boston made some comment about feeling like she didn't get something on her chest properly.
Because like we are teammates, but I'm like, you didn't have to do all that. Like you did not have to go for 40 on our dome. Like, girl, we could have just had fun.
Yeah,
but after that, it was like cool because obviously now we're on the same team, so you don't worry about that. But I always thought it was funny because I'm like, we just went from competing against each other, you beating us, and now we're on the same team.
She was laughing about telling Clark it's okay, but also being a little annoyed about whatever happened. Classic teammate stuff where you're not really mad, but you kind of are. Now let's break down the basketball side, because this gets really fascinating. When Clark showed up in Indiana, Boston completely reinvented her entire approach to match Clark's energy. She went from this powerful post presence to becoming this versatile face-up threat. Boston got quicker, improved her lateral movement, developed her perimeter defense to the point where she can actually stay with guards. Her pick-and-roll game got sharper. Her pick and pop became deadly, and her shooting became way more consistent. This transformation was deliberate and absolutely necessary. If Indiana had landed the second pick instead of first, they would have grabbed Camila Cardoso instead. Boston would still be grinding in the post, working those high-low combinations with Cardoso. Christy Sides would probably still be coaching. And honestly, this Fever team probably never sniffs the playoffs. Nothing against Boston or Cardoso individually. That's just how the pieces would have fit. Boston adapted everything about her game to maximize what she and Clark could build together. The real question is whether Clark could have made the same adjustment if the situation was flipped. Could Clark thrive in some slow, post-heavy system built around big players? That's genuinely debatable. Clark operates best in these fast-paced systems where she controls the tempo and has freedom to create magic. Asking her to completely change her approach might not have worked nearly as well, but Boston made it happen. She transformed everything and the results speak volume. Playoffs, exciting basketball, genuine chemistry, and now Boston publicly declaring Clark as one of her all-time favorite teammates. The comment sections have been absolutely chaotic. South Carolina fans are heated. Clark haters are scrambling. Everyone who's been pushing this Boston doesn't like Clark's story is trying to explain this away somehow. But the simplest answer is usually right. Boston genuinely loves playing with Clark because their games fit perfectly, and they've built a real friendship. Someone asked about Brea Turner and whether Boston would want to keep or trade her. The response was diplomatic but realistic. If Turner comes back on a minimum deal, you take that value. She's a solid bench contributor who can help when needed. But she's clearly not in the same conversation as Clark and Mitchell when it comes to Boston's most important partnerships. Another comment mentioned signing the CBA, which brings up this massive issue hanging over everything. The WNBA and Players Union still haven't locked down a new collective bargaining agreement. The schedule exists, games are planned, but technically there's no guarantee this season actually happens. Reality check though, this season is definitely happening because too many players can't afford for it not to. There are players who made less than $100,000 last year, combining WNBA and overseas money. Those same players are looking at $500,000 contracts if this season moves forward. That's multiple years of their previous salary rolled into one season. They're not striking. They're not holding out. They need this money. The union can talk about solidarity and fighting together all they want, but break it down player by player and probably 80 to 90 of them would vote against a strike if you asked them privately. The threats from the union are basically empty at this point, because ownership knows most players desperately need this season to go ahead. If players were thinking strategically, they'd push for a shorter CBA at opt-out clauses tied to revenue growth. Accept these current terms including the $1.3 million max salary, but build in an opt-out after 3 years when the TV deal gets renegotiated. That way, if league revenue explodes like everyone expects, players can renegotiate from a much stronger position. Getting back to Boston and Clark, this partnership might be the most crucial one in the WNBA right now. Not just for Indiana but for the entire league. Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball. Boston is one of the most gifted young big players in the game. Together they form a foundation that could dominate for years to come. The fact that they genuinely enjoy each other, that Boston openly calls Clark one of her favorites, that they've developed real chemistry and friendship beyond just basketball, is massive for Indiana's long-term future. You can't manufacture that kind of connection. You can't create genuine respect and affection between teammates artificially. Either it exists or it doesn't, and clearly it's there between Boston and Clark. All the haters who've been desperately trying to manufacture drama between these two just got embarrassed. Every narrative about tension, fit problems, Boston being unhappy with Clark's arrival, all of it got demolished by Boston's simple, honest answer about her favorite teammate. This whole situation reminds you how disconnected narratives often are from actual reality. Fans and media create these storylines based on assumptions, biases, and personal agendas. But the real players involved usually have completely different perspectives on everything. Boston doesn't care about manufactured drama. She cares about winning games and playing alongside people she genuinely enjoys. Those people happen to be Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. The growth and maturity Boston has demonstrated is really impressive. She transitioned from being the focal point of a college powerhouse at South Carolina to becoming a complimentary star in the professional ranks. She completely adapted her approach, embraced a new role, built fresh relationships, and she's succeeding in ways that wouldn't have been possible if she'd stubbornly stuck to her college style. That's what elite players do. They evolve, they adapt, they prioritize team success over individual statistics or ego. Boston could have fought these changes. She could have demanded the offense flow through her in the post like it did at South Carolina. But she recognized that wasn't the winning formula. So she changed everything about her game to maximize team success. Now she's collecting the rewards. Playoffs, elevated profile, playing next to one of basketball's biggest stars, and she's openly thrilled about it, which drives haters completely insane. South Carolina fans upset about this need to understand that players evolve. College represents just a brief chapter in any professional athlete's journey. Boston's loyalty belongs to her current team and current teammates now. That doesn't erase what she accomplished at South Carolina. It just means she's grown beyond that chapter, and she's focused on her professional career. Aliyah Boston declared Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell as her favorite teammates. The haters are going crazy. The fake tension narrative between Boston and Clark just completely died. If you love watching genuine chemistry destroy manufactured drama, smash that like button. If you think Boston should have been more careful with her words, hit subscribe and break down your reasoning in the comments. Either way, this Indiana core is something special.